a radio commercial.
For a car dealership.
Tell him what we did.
Here's what we did. We bought a car and decided to drive home.
You can't drive home from the Galapagos Islands.
Oh, did we feel foolish when we found that out?
I really thought it would float.
Radio goes where we go. A message from the Illinois Broadcasters Association and this station. They brought you this message.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the Zoom today is Mrs. Mary Vogt, Superintendent of Bement Schools. Good morning, Mrs. Vogt. How you doing?
Good morning, Seth. I'm great, thanks. How are you?
Doing well. I would be even better if this weather would just stay. Just stick around. Yeah. You know, we're ushering in March this weekend, right? Just hang around. You know, you don't get in a rush. Don't go anywhere.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're a pretty welcoming part of the country. Just come on in, stay, enjoy your visit.
Yeah, exactly. Take your coat off. Stay a while. You know, shoes go over there. Yeah, just hang out. Yes. Make yourself at home. No, it's been lovely. I know my kids are coming home from school every day talking about the adventures on the playground and all of that good stuff. So I'm sure a lot of Bement kids are out on the playground this week as well. And Mrs. Vogt, it's been a while since I've talked to you. I don't actually think I've even seen you on the other side of the new year. So I know we visited Bement schools in January. You had quite an exciting announcement for us on our visit there. Just recap that. What was going on that week?
Sure. So what I have been most excited about for our facilities and future of our facilities is we were notified during the first semester that we would be the recipient of a donation from the estate of Bement alum. And his family has indicated that they would add to what his estate is donating. So, you know, for the Bement district, we're looking well over $100,000 in the total donation, which is very significant for us because for building projects that we have going on, you know, we're not talking $30-40 million building projects here. That would be a big enough building for our district. Mm-hmm. You know, we're talking $1-2 million. So when you have a couple $100,000 we're looking at for a donation, it opens up several possibilities. Mm-hmm. So we actually had a presentation at our January board meeting from Michelle Gross with the State Bank of Bement talking about the donation. And then she also works with the Bement Foundation. Mm-hmm. So they support the schools, they support the communities in the area. And just some discussions that she had with the Bement Foundation for one project in particular that would add air conditioning to our main gym, mm-hmm. and then also add a vestibule area that would connect our main gym to our industrial tech building.
Okay.
So I understand. I mean, Seth, you and I both went to school without air conditioning and we survived. But when we went to school, we also weren't doing active shooter drills.
Uh-huh.
Also could have windows open, we could have doors open, and not just classroom doors open. We could prop doors open outside as well. Well, safety protocols now, we have to keep everything fairly locked up. Mm-hmm. So our gym area, we lose instruction time when it's extremely hot out. We have to move games and contests when it's extremely hot out. Graduation. We have to be, pretty cognizant of the weather, try to get things, aired out, cooled off if graduation weekend is going to be hot. Mm-hmm. So adding air conditioning to the gym. And then, like I said, putting that vestibule in to connect the gym and the industrial tech building. Because right now, when our kids go to ag classes, shop, auto, conditioning, they have to walk outside. Mm-hmm. So every hour of the day, we have students walking out of our building to go right next door and then back in. Mm-hmm. So it almost desensitizes us to, when somebody's buzzing to get in because it's happening every 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. So just safety concern with that. So that's what we're hoping to do is, that would be a major project for us this summer. I feel like that when I started 3 years ago, that was something that to me was a, gosh, if this could ever happen, that would be amazing. And we've spent the last 3 years doing things. When Dr. Greenwood, her last year here, she started the process of replacing windows in the high school.
Mm-hmm.
My first year, we finished that project, and then we completely redid our network for the building.
Hmm.
We replaced every intercom, phone. We now have all digital clocks that are tied into the intercom system.
Mm-hmm.
We have panic buttons. Some people might be aware there's new legislation coming down the pike that requires there to be access to contact 911 throughout school facilities. Well, we've had that for 2 years already. Our intercom system, you can either reach the elementary office, middle school, high school office, or there's a button that goes directly to 911. And then through our intercom system, you hear, 911 dispatch, what's your emergency? And those intercoms become like a telephone to contact emergency services. So I'm proud of what we have done to make improvements to the facilities so far. And I feel like what we have done again, with Windows, network, communication, those are like the backbone of things that a school needs to have work properly.
Mm-hmm.
And now we can get to things like air conditioning that, yeah, it's nice. But each year when we have lost instruction time because it's just too hot to be in the gym, it's really frustrating.
What do
And
you say to the person that says, "Gosh, I can't believe it's 2025 and Bement schools don't have air conditioning"? What do you say to that person, Mrs. Vogt?
you know what? I've never had that. What I usually get is, I went to school with no air conditioning and I was fine. So I've never had somebody say, wow, that's awful. We should get you air conditioning. In the rest of the building, what we have done, we either have mini split units, we have those in several of the offices and in classrooms. Otherwise, it's window air conditioning units in the classroom spaces. But yeah, the gym.
Now
the gym,
this will
yeah.
only air condition the gym, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, we
Yeah.
got to get the rest of the building air conditioning. Those window units can only keep up for so long.
I honestly don't want to be in charge of retrofitting an 1899 building for air conditioning.
Fair enough. Yes, fair enough.
That seems like
Yeah,
it would be quite
yeah.
a challenge.
Well, and that was another thing I was going to bring up, Mrs. Vogt, is installing air conditioning in the gym sounds great, but like it's not just as easy as setting up a unit outside and boom, you've got air conditioning. Like you've got to have duct work done and all these things. What else kind of goes into this project?
Well, so we have a feasibility study being done just as far as, the area outside where the unit will sit. Is the ground solid where the unit needs to sit, or does concrete need to be poured? The location of the unit, how will that impact where our buses park and turn around? And truly, this is a conversation that since I've been here, we've had for over a year. So it's in the hands right now of our architect, who is putting together an RFP, and we'll put it out to bid and then go from there. So we're really hoping that the air conditioning and the vestibule both get done. But if only one can be done, my focus will be the air conditioning, simply because of that loss of instruction time and losing opportunities to host events here. Because it gets too hot.
Sure. Well, that's tremendous news for Bement Schools. Again, Mrs. Mary Vogt is the superintendent of Bement Schools, our guest on the Zoom today. So, pardon me, as this item on the list skyrockets to the top, what is able to now be filled in that you can do after this? Because you mentioned you've been preparing for this for a few years now. What kind of comes next for the district?
Next, as far as the next big project, or
Yes, yeah, like facilities improvement type of thing.
Yeah. So we are also looking at, this isn't like the real, fancy stuff, but just looking at the age of our roofs and making sure that we keep those on, just a maintenance cycle. Also, tuck pointing. So it's been quite a while since there has been a long-term district facilities plan.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've met with the architect, and that's what we're looking at. What are the 1 to 2 year projects? What are the 3-year projects, 5-year, 10-year?
Sure.
So again, after, this hopefully big project, then we're looking at replacing a roof. And then out at our football field, we have, it's 1940s field house out there
Mm-hmm.
that right now just has old equipment stored in it. So
Okay.
we're trying to ensure this structure that doesn't get used anymore. So that's another thing. You and I at home, if we have a shed in the backyard that we don't use anymore, it's not in good shape. We're going to do what we can to remove it, replace it, and move on.
Mm-hmm.
But for a school district, we have to have a feasibility study just as far as what can we do with it, what are, is there asbestos in it? And then if there's asbestos, mitigating that before you just remove it.
Mm.
So it's been a months-long process for that, just getting it, on the table to even take a look at as a project. I would love to say that we would use our football field more than once a year. Right now, our football field's used just for homecoming. But at the football field complex, we also have our baseball field. And, right now we have to order outhouses during middle school baseball season.
Oh, wow.
So I'd love to see, a standalone press box concession area with bathrooms out there. But we need, we're struggling with enrollment. Not that we're losing enrollment, but our enrollment is smaller than it was several years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where, how do you balance improving facilities, hoping to attract people, and improving facilities? And what if you don't attract people? Then what happens then? So
Sure.
just some things that we've looked at, between Bement and Ivesdale. Not sure if you're familiar with Ivesdale,
Mhm.
but it's the easternmost community in our district.
Mhm.
And there used to be several farmhouses between Bement and Ivesdale that had several children who then went to school here. Well, those farmhouses don't even exist anymore.
Hmm.
So, that's something Michelle Gross at the bank and I have talked about, is what can we do as a community to try to get people to move here?
Mhm.
Right now, there are no houses for people to buy. So, or if there are, they're snatched up, almost immediately.
Mhm.
So what can we do to encourage, growth and attract young families? And then that in turn making these new facilities just a more stable plan for
Gotcha.
the future.
Gotcha.
That makes sense.
Yeah, well, and that also speaks to the point there, Mrs. Vogt. I mean, you don't have, a lot of districts around you have a very nice influx of cash coming in year after year, right? And they can put, money towards facilities and those sorts of things. You don't necessarily have that in Bement, right?
What we do have are EdgeGuard and SimTech. Those are a couple of great businesses that keep people employed here. We have some great local businesses. If you've ever had Mama T's Pizza, it's amazing. JTA, it's our grocery store, but they also have a full grill. It's the best burger you'll ever have if you ever come through the area. Just remember that. Lucky Monkey, brings in a few events that draw a crowd, but no, we don't have the CPPRT like some of our neighboring communities do. We don't have a medical facility that would draw people in. So we do pretty well for the size of community that we are. Again, having those 3 restaurant options, a grocery store, post office, and a couple of businesses that do well globally even.
Mhm.
So, but no, we don't bring in millions of dollars.
Right. Well, Mrs. Vogt, still exciting developments for Bement, I feel like, and so there's a lot of momentum I think created in that effort, and hopefully able to tap into that going forward as well. So, did we miss anything on that conversation you want to put out there for us?
I think we're good, Seth.
Very good. That is Mrs. Mary Vogt. She is the superintendent of Bement Schools. My guest on the Zoom today. More to come with Mrs. Vogt on the morning show.
WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Friday. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network. Corn starting the day steady. Beans higher. Chicago wheat also higher. March corn opening 465.5 up 3/4. May corn unchanged 481, and December new crop 460 3/4 down a penny. March beans starting the day 1029 3/4 up 7. May beans up 6, 1043 1/4, and November new crop 1044 3/4 up 3. March Chicago wheat 552.5 up 5 3/4. May wheat 567 3/4 up 5 1/4. And July Chicago wheat 582 up 5 1/4. March bean meal 292.10 up 120, and March bean oil 44.74 down a penny. Looking at the opening numbers on this Friday morning, Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
It's time to celebrate winter. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. Yes, we have extra savings on all new Chevrolets this month to celebrate the winter season. See our inventory of Chevrolet Trailblazers, Blazers, and the all-new Chevy Trax. We also have a larger, redesigned 7-passenger Traverse and a good selection of 24 and 25 Tahoes. See our winter celebration savings at BaumChevyBuick.com. Right from the start.
If the flu's got you down, the Warner Hospital and Health Services Walk-In Clinic inside Family Medicine can help you feel better fast. CEO Paul Skowron inviting you to make us your backup plan to better health. Find out more by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Mrs. Mary Vogt, superintendent of Bement Schools, my guest on the Zoom today. And Mrs. Vogt, you were telling me moving up in the world a little bit, though, over there in Bement. You now have yourself an administrative assistant. How exciting is that?
Very exciting. Very, very exciting. So, I laugh with some of my superintendent friends in larger districts. Jennifer Gill comes to mind, and she talks about her cabinet that she meets with, meaning her several assistant superintendents and, dozens of building principals and whatnot. And one time I was like, you keep talking about this cabinet you have, like, I'm just a side drawer.
Like, I would take a cabinet on my desk.
Right, yes. So being a superintendent in a small district, which that's what several of us in the area are, we do it all. I mean, we do HR, we do curriculum, we do the grant writing, we do the reporting. There are no cabinet members for us. In our district, as I started, I was fortunate. Our the district office bookkeeper, treasurer, Janie Hamilton, she had been here for 36 years, 37 years when I started, retired with 39 years of service to the district. She could do the job. This is how I've described it. She could do the job with her eyes closed and her hands tied behind her back. She just took care of it all. But now enjoying a well-deserved retirement, we planned ahead for that and had hired somebody to train and work alongside her. And they took over July 1st. And without Janie here, quickly realized, oh gosh, this is probably not something that I really want to do until I retire. And so they've actually pivoted and switched their career path to go back and get a teaching certificate, which can't be mad about that.
Mm-hmm.
So then we hired a new bookkeeper then. So in a year's time, I've worked with 3 bookkeepers now. But part of our long-term plan for the office, we have sent our payroll and financial information to an offsite accountant. Actually, they're in Clinton, Pat at Floyd and Associates. So we found out from Pat that she's retiring here in 2025. And she said, you probably want to take a look at another option for payroll. Well, student management system that we've used now for 3 years has the capability to do payroll. So our plan, for about the last year has been that we will start doing payroll in this office starting January 1.
Okay.
And so we were working towards that. And then in that process and in training, we had a new bookkeeper start in October in training her. We were moving right along. Well, then unfortunately, all of this nasty virus stuff going around had her out for several days. So it was just me in the office learning to run the new payroll system.
Wow.
So I'm sure you can.
It's been a roller coaster for you.
It has been, but my priority was I have several priorities actually. With the transition in this office, I wanted to make sure that our district staff as a whole didn't feel the effects of it. I wanted them to be able to come in, focus on the kids, do their job, and not feel any of what was happening with our transitions. And also to make sure everyone got paid and had their insurance coverage. So those were my priorities. So that meant some of my responsibilities, because I don't have a cabinet to help me out with. My responsibilities got put in the drawer, and then I took over some of those bookkeeper responsibilities. And so we are now here at the end of February at a point where we've been able to hire a second person for our office because of bringing those additional responsibilities in. And so our bookkeeper and admin assistant for today's payroll, I sat down with them, but had them actually input the information, because up to this payroll, I was the only one who knew how. So
wow,
we're getting there.
Wild times in Bement. Very good. Well, moving up. That's the important thing, Mrs. Vogt. We're moving you up. We're moving you up. Very good. Well, I'll tell you what. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, and it matches my personality. I'm a problem solver. I'm a planner. I'm a, okay, this needs to be taken care of. Quote Big Zimmerman here. I'm not going to sit back and admire the problem. I'm going to figure out how we can solve it and move forward.
Very good. Well, Mrs. Vogt, I have about 30 seconds. Anything you want to wrap up with us here for today?
No, Seth, you're putting me on the spot.
I know it. I know it.
What to wrap up with?
No, it's all good.
Yeah, no, we're excited. We're ready for we have fourth quarter starting just around the corner, and I'm proud to be able to wrap up my 3rd year here and keep moving forward.
3 years in Bement, can't believe it. Well, Mrs. Vogt, it's always good to talk to you. Thanks for making time for us as always.
Sure. Have a great day, Seth.
You do the same. Mrs. Mary Vogt is the superintendent of Bement Schools. Our guest on the Zoom call for today. Network News comes your way now.